Trade Gaming, I'm the Archmaster. Today's video is about exactly what is, or rather what isn't, an RPG. So, a role-playing game, specifically tabletop role-playing game. A role-playing, okay, first we have to define what a game is, alright? So, when you say, hey, I'm going to, Books A Million, I'm gonna buy a new game, I'm gonna buy a new RPG, I'm gonna buy D&D, right? Okay, you say, okay, cool, have fun, goodbye. He comes back later and says, hey, I bought a new game. You say, where is it? Show it to me. And he pulls up a book and says, here, I bought the game, D&D 5e, and he hands it and shows it to you. What is he pointing at? What is that thing? It's a book, yeah, but what's in the book? Words and stuff, yeah, but what are the words about? What is this? It's rules. So when he says, I'm gonna go buy a game, what is the game? The game is the game's rules. The rules are the game. That's like the DNA. It's the bones and structure. Like, that's what it is. A game is its rules, right? The rules are the game. It's the same thing. So, now that we know what a game is its rules, a role-playing game would be a game with rules about role-playing. It would be role-playing rules. I posit that I've never seen those, ever. I've certainly have never seen a full game about role-playing, where here are all the rules about role-playing. Okay, now we have to define role-playing. Role-playing is making decisions your character would make. That is role-playing. Immersive role-playing is when you make those decisions your character would make from inside their head, as if you were them. You're like fully in there. It's not like this top-down, what decision would, Bilford the dwarf make in this scenario? I think he would do this thing, right? That's role-playing. That's fine. That's like top-down role-playing. Immersive role-playing is when you're like, I am Bilford. What would I do? I'm doing this, right? And you do it because you are Bilford, not just looking down. Either way, it's fine. They're both role-playing. I much prefer immersive role-playing. It's much better than just top-down role-playing. But still, role-playing is making the decisions your character would make, right? So, a role-playing game is rules about making the decisions your character would make, right? So if we're talking about a game, what's a game? You have a challenge. One definition of a game is the voluntary undertaking of unnecessary challenges, right? There are probably a dozen definitions out there, but it's like, there's always some kind of challenge, always some kind of goal and some obstacle, right? So if we're playing a game, that means we have a goal and we have some kind of obstacle, right? And the rules are there to couch that goal and that obstacle and tell you what your goal is and what your obstacles are, right? So a role-playing game altogether would be a game where you have the goal to role-play well and you lose when you don't role-play well. Where the rules, in the same way in a true adventure game like D&D, which is not a role-playing game, it's an adventure game. In an adventure game, where you have an adventuring party full of adventurers who go on adventures in the adventuring day with the pillars of adventure, right? This is clearly an adventure game. In a real adventure game, when you lose, you die. Because the game is about adventure, and adventure has danger and all that, right? So there's the win state of getting treasure and your freedom, power, status, and mystery, and then the lose state is losing treasure, freedom, power, status, mystery, and you losing your life, right? It's dying. So in a role-playing game, where the goal is to role-play well, you would lose HP or, whatnot, if you didn't role-play well. Where you make a decision your character wouldn't make, and the GM says, you lost 5 HP, that would be a role-playing game. That is what a true role-playing game is. If it's not that, it's not a role-playing game. So I posit, I've never actually seen a role-playing game. Can you imagine if there's a game out there that was all about role-playing, where the game itself was about role-playing? Hey, you have to role-play to win. And if you don't role-play well, you lose, right? That's what a role-playing game is. A game that you play well, you win, and if you don't play well, you lose, right? That's kind of what games are. So a role-playing game would be a game where you try to role-play, and if you don't do well, you lose. If you don't do well role-playing, you lose, right? So I've never seen that. I don't think it exists. I think all of these adventure games out here that we have are misnamed. They're called role-playing games when they're not. They're absolutely not, right? This all happened with Gary Gygax and Dave Arneson. Way back in the day, there was role-playing game and adventure game, and those were the two names that they were positing forward to name this new genre of stuff. And they're like, we don't know what to call it, role-playing game or adventure game. And adventure game almost won, but role-playing game won out, and here's why. They were coming from wargaming, and so they had to differentiate what they were doing from wargaming. So if they said, here are war games and here are adventure games, most people wouldn't know the difference, right? So they had to misname it, and it was a marketing tactic, okay? They had to misname it, call it a role-playing game to really shine a spotlight on the part that was different, where they're like, hey, in this game, you're supposed to role-play a single character, and that's how it's different from an army, right? Because you can even role-play in a war game. You can be like, I'm the general, I'm, Napoleon or King George, what would I do, right? You can role-play in war games, right? the point wasn't that, oh, now it's adventure, whatnot. They had to really drive home the point that, hey, you're supposed to roleplay a single character, right? That's why they called it a role-playing game. But if you, all this time you've been calling it a role-playing game and thinking it's a role-playing game, you fell for the marketing. You fell for the ploy. It's not. You can have a Honda and put a Ferrari sticker on the front and be like, I have a Ferrari now. Only a gullible person is going to believe you have a Ferrari. It's a Honda. You can look at the hood and look under the hood and say, oh, look, that's a Honda. I know what I see, right? So in the same thing, you can look at something like D&D and be like, oh, Adventuring Day, Pillars of Adventure, Adventuring Party. Oh, this is an adventure game. And someone's like, no, it's a role-playing game. Absolutely not. Don't just slap a Ferrari sticker on the front of it and tell me it's a Ferrari. No, I can look under the hood. I can read the rules. This is clearly an adventure game, right? So, I forgot everything else I was gonna say. That's good enough for now. Go ahead and digest that. Like and subscribe, feed the algorithm, leave comments, tell me about your world. I'm a big world building guy, so if you have a world you want me to just give you advice for and all sorts of stuff, I'm free for now. I won't be free in another few years if I get super popular and whatnot. Use me while you can. Anyway, feed the algorithm. God bless.